Good afternoon, I'm Belinda de Lasheras with Hunter News. Cessnock appears to have been at the epicentre of an earthquake in the Hunter overnight. The quake struck at 9:55 p.m, measuring 3.1 on the Richter scale, and was felt as far as Thornton, Pecolbin, Maitland and Newcastle's western suburbs. Geoscience Australia seismologist Eddie Leask says residents need to be wary of possible aftershocks.
Aftershocks are always possible, or it could be a foreshock before a larger event, but there's no way of really knowing that. The science hasn't determined a reliable method for predicting earthquakes yet.
The state government is continuing to ignore opposition calls for a halt on the truncation of Newcastle's heavy rail line. Work has begun today on the next stage of the process, with rail corridor activity between Broadmeadow and Newcastle stations set to be surveyed over the coming weeks. Opposition leader John Robertson says he's firmly against the decision and believes plans to cut the rail line are a recipe for public transport chaos.
This government is completely unprepared for what is going on. It's why I wrote to Premier Baird and said that this should not take place until after the next election, so the people of Newcastle and the wider Hunter have the opportunity to vote and say whether they think this is a good idea.
Meanwhile, independent candidate for Newcastle Karen Howard says there's no need to delay the project.
I think the only thing that puts this project in jeopardy is the continuing negativity from the opposition and calling for essentially its review. It's not necessary. We've had more than 41 reviews into the rail line, and it's now time for action.
Lock the Gate Alliance Hunter is calling for an immediate ban on election donations by mining companies. It comes just 6 months out from the state election, with the alliance fearing damage caused by the mining industry could soon rival the likes of property developers, gambling and liquor companies. New South Wales coordinator for the Lock the Gate Alliance, Georgina Woods, says the Hunter has experienced improper influence firsthand.
Regions like the Hunter have felt the full brunt of the mining industry's influence in New South Wales. They get the approvals that they want. They get laws changed when they want. And we think that if we're going to safeguard our rivers and farmland from further destruction by mining, we need to make sure that mining money is out of politics.
The state government has labelled claims it's bullying Newcastle and Lake Macquarie councils into adopting a proposed amalgamation a Labor scaremongering tactic. It insists the move is aimed at boosting the productivity and operational efficiency of the councils, but there's a clear policy of no forced amalgamations in place. Swansea MP Gary Edwards says while he doesn't support the proposal, Labor's accusations are simply a case of campaign mode talking.
It would be Lake Macquarie who would suffer. At the moment, Lake Macquarie Council is trading quite well. The services are quite good. We've only seen Newcastle City Council come to the fore and get their act together in the last 2 years or so. With the ALP, scaremongering is their tactic at first resort.
Newcastle Council's plans to extend Bathers Way may soon receive a financial boost from the state government. The project is one of 13 in the Hunter which have been shortlisted for possible funding through the latest round of the Resources for Regions program. Acting Lord Mayor Brad Luke says it's great news for the community.
When you look at what's already happened at Merriweather End, when you look at the funding we've already gotten and the work started at the Nobbies End, this is one more step. And we've also got in the middle of this already happening is the Anzac Memorial Walk. This will really be a great tourist attraction and an incredible facility and infrastructure for Newcastle residents.
Now with sport, Claudie Groves.
Northern New South Wales NPL Grand Finalists Western are preparing to announce their first grade coach for next season on the back of tonight's briefing with players. It follows the sacking of 2014 coach Steve Pickett at the weekend, following a series of off-field fallouts with the club. Bears football manager Shane Johnson insists they won't be releasing any details of the decision until after conferring with the playing group. Outgoing Newcastle Knights halfback Michael Dobson is in doubt for Sunday's New South Wales Cup decider after injuring his toe in last weekend's qualifier. He's set to undergo a fitness test later this week. The 28-year-old makes a return to the English Premier League next season on a 4-year contract with the Salford Reds. Meanwhile, James Elias and Toka Licky join the Knights extended bench in an otherwise unchanged lineup. And the Jets will be forced to rely on a makeshift midfielder in their A-League opener, as Ben Kantarovski is ruled out for 3 weeks following a knee injury. That's sport, I'm Claudie Groves.
2 in your RFM News Time is coming up to 11 past 12.